All right, with that whistle, the regulators are going to be checking the teams for safety here. Once again, you're here for our second bout of the evening. It's the Doomsday Valkyries versus the Coffin Draggers. And after these safety checks, we will be getting underway with this game. Nice to join you this evening, Clofton P. Garudge.
And I am Sandra Slay O'Connor. We're different announcers than you had last time, in case you did not pick that one up on your own. All right, introducing our first team of the evening. That is the Coffin Draggers. I don't think they noticed Coffin Draggers are doing team introductions right now. All right, make some noise for the Coffin Draggers. Skating for the Coffin Draggers tonight is number 55. That's Skid Vicious. We also have 1029, Reckless Rose. Number 1300, that's Psycho Sis. Number 1312, that's Ricky D. Bones. Number 18, Embezzlement. 9MK3, that is Gypsy Danger. She is not on the track yet, but she's coming. All right, next up is 59, Raul Juke. Number 600, that's Thigh Voltage. 8020, All Beef Batty. 96, All of You Die. And your co-captain for the Coffin Draggers, that is number 1951, Helatrix Lestrange. And your captain for the Draggers, that's 616, Antifa. And bench coaching for the Coffin Draggers is their bench coach, Grant, and penalty tracker, Bender. I remembered their names this time.
Now taking the track, it's the Doomsday Valkyries. Wearing their rust fit this evening, Valhalla calls. It's the Doomsday Valkyries. Number 44, Dirty Carry. Number 007, Clutch Cannon. Number 101, Hurricane May. Number 182, Hannibal Lecture. Number 38, NC Jammer. Number 401, Optimus Prime. Number 5'6", Serenader. Number 73, Shirley Temple of Doom. Number Boob, Nitroglycerin. Number 835, Skarin Jaeger. Your co-captain of the Valkyries, number 626, Remy Ruckus. And the captain of the Doomsday Valkyries, number 22, Mimi Mahler. Helping the Valkyries on their bench tonight are bench coach Infidel Castro and assistant bench coach Blair Bitch.
All right, we're about to get to the action. An exciting game tonight. Whoever wins this game goes to playoffs later in the season. No pressure.
Doomsday Valkyries coming off a victory a few weeks ago and are trying to build on that. And as Sandy said, try to earn a place in the playoffs. That'll be starting in about 6 weeks. It'll be about after the next. So an important fight for placing here this evening amongst these two teams.
All right, we are about to get started. Jamming for the Coffin Draggers, that's number 96, All of You Die.
First jammer for the Valkyries, number 38, NC Jammer.
Both of these skaters used to be minor assaults in our league.
As a matter of fact, there's several ex-minor assaults on, especially on the Valkyries.
Yeah, there's a good group of them today. Ooh, speaking of ex-minor assaults, Mimi Mahler taking Olive to the infield, and NC Jammer is out coming around to score some points. But Olive gets out in turn 2. Gonna force a call off.
NC up to the high side, bounces off the rail, trying to wriggle around a blocker there at the bottom, has to get up to reestablish and calls it off.
Let's see, NC was calling it off because Olive was coming in hot. Maybe Olive was able to steal some points. We'll have to wait and see. All right, Valkyries were able to pick up 1 point at the beginning of the game, putting them in the lead. And we have Hellatrix Lestrange on the jammer line for the Valkyries.
So it's 1-0, so the game will not end in a scoreless tie, thankfully.
And that's Hurricane May jamming for the Valkyries, but Strange is already out in turn 1. May is fighting against a strong 2-wall of embezzlement and thigh voltage, but they got pushed out of play.
Here comes Strange, able to go right through the pack. Easy scoring pass there with those 2 blockers pinned in down below. Oh, we'll check on the score there. That ought to be the standard 4 from the field. It is indeed. So the Coffin Draggers are on the board now, 4-1.
That is Reckless Rose on the jammer line for the Draggers and Autumnus Prime on the jammer line for the Valkyries. Both jammers are fighting in the straightaway. Prime's trying to take the low, but gets taken to the infield by Gypsy Danger. Reckless Rose fighting in the front against Mimi Mahler.
36 seconds to go on the jam clock. Pack kind of ground to a halt here at the end of the back straightaway. Both jammers still trying to find an opening. Prime is now pushing to the front, and Prime's going to get those defenders out of play. Right behind is Reckless Rose. With 20 seconds left on the jam clock, Prime is going to try to get back to the pack and pick up at least 1 point here. Prime now blasting in. Rose is going to get by along the inside, and Prime calls it off before Rose takes over as lead jammer. So a whole lot of storm and fury for no points there for either side, unfortunately. Checking on the official score from the infield at the moment.
All right, jamming for the Valkyries. Did you already say? I wasn't listening. Is Clutch Cannon.
And your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Rickety Bones.
They're both taking off. Clutch flies out on the high, but Bones got out right in front of her.
Bones tries to slide in, and now he's going to try to stay low. Oh, Clutch Cannon to the inside. Clutch gets the inside line going through the corner, and Bones has to call it off. So another spirited jammer race here. Not a lot of points early, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, you cannot call it off if you are not lead. So Bones, I think, called it off at the perfect time. If Clutch had passed them, they would have not been able to call it off. We've got NC Jammer back on the jammer line for the Valkyries.
Coffin Draggers jammer is Raul Juke. Raul Juke off to the infield. Condensed pack as they go down into the first turn. I see NC popping up against the rail, now looking low. Raul Juke is still pinned at the back of the pack. NC's trying to get those jammers pushed out of play.
Yeah, Coffin Dragger's doing a really nice job recycling. NC would push past a Coffin Dragger and then have to pass them again. But she is out, coming around for a scoring pass with less than 30 seconds on the clock.
Raul Juke is hemmed in behind the four-wall of Valkyries defenders, making it almost look like a Valkyries power jam. Now Raul Juke tries to spring loose as Clutch Cannon finishes off, excuse me, not Clutch Cannon.
NC Jammer.
NC Jammer springs out of there.
And NC Jammer is very fast, and she's got 10 seconds left to pick up some more points.
Raul Juke did get out until just now. So now NC is trying to shake off a blocker and go after Raul Juke, and the blocker does their job. Keeps that jammer point away. We'll check from the infield, but we're about guaranteed to have another lead change here.
We've got Psycho Sis on the jammer line for the first time. Oh, never mind. It looks like this will be a power jam for the Doomsday Valkyries.
Doomsday Valkyries picked up 8 points in that last jam, so they jump in front 9-4, and definitely a fantastic opportunity for them to build on the lead here. Hurricane May at the jammer line.
Speaking of former minor assaults, Hurricane May also used to skate with the minors. Fighting in the front against Skid, Vicious, and Hellatrix Lestrange, but the Valkyries are doing a nice job keeping a goad in the back. Looks like embezzlement stuck back there.
So Hurricane May looked like she may have tangled skates with another skater back there. It's kind of the furthest point in the track away from me, so hard for me to see, but Hurricane May out now. They're trying to get a defender pinned in behind. May
jumps the coping, makes a scoring pass.
Hurricane May sticks the landing after jumping the coping. Now coming through again, goes up to the high side and runs into some defense. Looks like Impaler Swift up there, one of the top defenders on the Draggers, up there trying to play defense. Hurricane May though gets through. Apparently Swifty's not out there. Swifty's bout managing. That's right. I thought I saw an 1897 flash by. I'm sorry. At any rate, we gave 10 points to the Valkyries there in that previous power jam, so 10 big points for the Valkyries. However, penalty called on Hurricane May, so now it's a power jam for the Coffin Draggers.
With all of you die on the jammer line.
Olive has not been in the adult league long, and Olive already establishing herself as one of the best jammers on the Coffin Draggers. Gets carried out of bounds there. It looked like Scaren Yeager with the defense.
Scaren Yeager, Olive's bestie, taking her off the track.
There's Remy Ruckus trying to get in the way. Olive gets out. 37 seconds left in the power jam. That's a good 20-second run off the penalty clock there by the Valkyries defense.
Mimi Mahler tries to stop Olive, but Olive skates on through. But Mimi is able to recycle. Ooh, and Olive takes a rough fall coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, part of the game during a power jam when you're on defense is not necessarily trying to keep the skater in if you can, but also trying to limit it to one scoring pass or, 2 at a max. And that's going to do it. Olive Udai calls off the jam. We'll check the score. And Olive got all 5 of the points, 1 whole scoring pass on the power jam. So 19-9, Valkyries in front. It would appear that we know. So the break clock is at 10.
Apparently, our 50-50 raffle is at over $200, so now would be the time. Guys, I have a secret for you. We wait to call the 50-50 raffle until the very end, so if you're sticking it out till the end of the night,
so
your chances get higher.
Sorry, Sandy. We got a team timeout there. Valkyries are going to call timeout and talk this one over before the next jam. Wanted to let you know the truck outside, it's so good. They were planning to stay until about 10 o'clock, but they're not far from selling out. And, man, Clofton P. Grudge does not eat before announcing because you don't want to listen to me hiccup for 30 minutes. But, no, it's not fun. I make weird sounds when I hiccup. Freya can attest to that. But the food truck, it smells. Freya offered me a bite of the chicken, and it was incredible. Anyway, they're about to sell out of food, so if you want to get a bite, you may want to slide out there during the quarter break and catch them before they sell out of their wonderful, tasty, tasty food. With that rolling whistle, we are back to the action. We're going to get back to things here with the Valkyries up 19-9 at this moment, halfway through the first quarter. Jammer for the Valkyries is Optimus Prime. Your jammer for the Coffin Draggers is Hellatrix Lestrange.
Strange flies through that orange wall, but gets caught up behind Mimi Mahler. I've said that a lot tonight. Optimus Prime gets taken to the infield, has to reset behind some of the Coffin Draggers. Is fighting in the front against Skid Vicious. Mimi Mahler trying to play some offense, but Skid is just too strong.
Referee signals that the back of the pack has to come up. Optimus Prime still caught in the back. There goes Hellatrix Lestrange out the front of the pack. Lead jammer for the Coffin Draggers. 20 seconds left on the jam clock.
And Prime gets out with 15 seconds left. She's going to try to keep this to one scoring pass.
I saw Reckless Rose fall on the concrete, and that was hard. I saw Rose take a good long second getting up. Big block by Mimi Mahler. That was a D-skater knocking Hellatrix Lestrange directly backwards.
We've got All of You Die back on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
Your Valkyries jammer is Clutch Cannon. We had 2 points there for the Coffin Draggers in that last jam.
I'm going to be honest, guys. I do not know what May was doing. She was like doing the splits on the track, and then she came off the track. It was a weird move, to be sure. I mean, I don't know what's happening in the mind of Hurricane May. All of You Die jukes out with some beautiful offense from Antifa. It's coming around with 50 seconds left on the clock.
Clutch Cannon ducks to the inside and gets out as well, and is going to try to keep this at that one scoring pass just completed by All of You Die, and Olive signals to call it off.
Yeah, Olive, it looked like she was deciding, am I going to get that jammer point? And then she decided, no, I am not going to get that jammer point.
Sandy, I was going to ask, after seeing Rose kind of really take a hard hit on the concrete, there must be a difference between falling on the track and falling on the infield, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I was going to say, I fall in theater sometimes, and I know the difference between hitting concrete and hitting a stage.
The track has like some give to it, too, so you kind of bounce a little bit.
Right. When you hit concrete, you feel every bit of it.
That is Raul Juke jamming for the Coffin Draggers.
That's NC Jammer out the front, and NC Jammer, right as we identify her, fought her way through a 3-wall with the help of the wave around by the referees.
Raul still fighting against a strong orange wall. Skid Vicious takes NC down to the infield. Raul gets past, but is fighting against Garen Yeager.
So now here goes NC. NC is going to go ahead and call it off, fighting through. NC got all 5 points, so NC clearly knew which skaters she had passed and which ones she had not.
Very close game so far. 24 points for the Valkyries, 15 for the Coffin Draggers.
All right, a lot of blockers coming down here. You hear a whole lot of yelling from the coaches on the sideline and the referees.
It's because there's only 4 blockers on the track right now. That's not a lot.
All right, we've got the pack minimum and 2 jammers. No, they get a free blocker.
Never mind. Oh, and there they go. Sis got up there right in time, but May flies out before turn 1. Tammy Ruckus doing a wonderful job taking Rose to the infield.
Here comes Hurricane May breezing down the front straightaway and entering the first turn. There goes Rose out the front of the pack.
Oh,
May.
Rose got to go faster, else May's going to get her point. Oh, but May calls it off.
So very sparse pack, very quick scoring pass, and 4 points for the Valkyries. 28-15 at the moment with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first quarter.
And that is Ricky D. Bones on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
Going up against Bones is number 38, NC Jammer. so far towards the front of the pack would probably be ahead, but now here comes Bones trying to mash up the pack and get through.
Bones
Big
trying
shift.
to follow some of the draggers, but NC gets out going into turn 3. All the draggers are trying to play some offense for Bones. It's not really working. Bones is deciding to just get in that wall.
And there's Bones trying to anchor a defensive wall, and now going to take off. Excellent move by Bones to wait until nobody was looking. So Bones trying to put the pressure on, and the jam comes to a close. And once again, NC knew who she got by and who she hadn't. NC gets all 4 of those points on that scoring pass.
Jamming for the first time for the Valkyries is Dirty Carrie.
We're going to have number 96, Olive You Die, for the Coffin Draggers.
Carrie is usually a bombshell, and she also just played for the Brides. So we'll see if she's tired or not. Ooh, and Carrie, it looked like they almost got out, but has to hop on behind Aunt Tifa.
Now down to the inside, now shaking free. There goes your jammer for the Coffin Draggers. There goes
Carrie
Olive.
is out about a third of a track behind.
Olive was trying to get to that front part of the pack, but those blockers were inching along, towing the legal line at being too far from the pack.
Ooh, we got another bombshell on the track for the Valkyries. That's Hannibal Lecture. And Psycho Sis out on the jammer line, I think for the first time. It was going to be the first time, and then she left. Now she's back. Psycho gets taken to the rail by Mimi. Spiting behind a strong 2 wall. They're out of play in the back, though, by a lot.
Hanny gets knocked down at the front of the pack along with the blocker for the Coffin Draggers. Now trying to find an opening, getting some help. I think that's Scary Nieger trying to go in there and provide some turbulence. And Hanny dispenses with the blocker and breaks free. Hannibal Lecture, your lead jammer for the Valkyries. Pack is now kind of ground to a stop. So far, not a whole lot of luck for Psycho Sis getting free. Hannibal Lecture trying to blast through the track. Bounces off a blocker and takes the angle right down the front straightaway. There goes Psycho Sis getting out as well. Hanny checks over her shoulder, and Hanny calls it off. That'll leave time for one more jam here in the first quarter. Let's check on that score. It is 5 points for the Valkyries. However, it's a penalty on Hannibal Lecture. It's going to be a power jam for the Coffin Draggers.
And that is All of You Die jamming for the Draggers.
Rainbow Crash is excited.
Oh, maybe not.
Wait, what happened?
Oh.
Double jammer down?
Double jammer down?
All right, double jammer
So
down,
that means
no power jam.
That should
Olive
mean
comes
that
back.
Olive should still be up there,
Yes.
though.
Here comes Olive. We're good. So there's penalties on both jammers in the last jam, and that's what happened really quick before this starts. The 2 jammers are All of You Die and Hurricane May. Since both jammers got penalties, basically a blocker serves their penalty for them.
Or the jammer still sits, but
Right.
as a blocker.
So there goes Hurricane May taking advantage of a small pack and only 2 blockers for the Coffin Draggers to get right out and take lead jammer. All of You Die escorted off again by Mimi Mahler. There goes May. May is able to tiptoe by a blocker for the Draggers. Let's see, I can see Remy Ruckus down there. It looks like we got Mimi Mahler down there as well, playing defense for the Valkyries. And May gets right by around the outside. Mimi Mahler had Aunt Tifa in check, and Mimi basically just eyeballed her. And what has turned into almost a pseudo power jam. May this time gets knocked down.
Olive is trying to slow May down, but May gets out anyway. She's got about 10 seconds left, but Olive finally gets out. It's going to keep her point away.
So May's going to get one more shot at a scoring pass here.
Ooh,
Runs off
Tifa
right onto the
does
infield.
a great job taking May to the
Indeed.
infield.
Aunt Tifa, obviously one of the veterans of our league. That will take us to the quarter break, so we'll check the score in a second. But yeah, excellent defense down there. We're going to go to the quarter break with a big 15-point jam for the Valkyries. We're going to take 5 minutes to catch our breath. Look out for a merch toss. I
Well,
see people coming by.
Yeah, make some noise.
That's right.
See if you can get some free merch.
As we step aside for the quarter break, it's 52-17. right, we are underway for the second quarter. Doomsday Valkyries in front right now, 52-17. It's Hurricane May to the jammer line for the Valkyries first here in the second quarter.
And Embezzlement jamming for the first time, I believe. And M is pushing her way through, gets out on the low. But May is out a quarter of a track behind her. Let's see if the draggers can pick up some points. Ooh, and M takes a tumble into the infield. May steals lead. M is back up, trying to score some points, and is out behind May.
So we got a lead change on our hands. Hurricane May taking over as lead jammer. So now May is going to try to get a few more points on the board and call it off. And May gets through the pack and does call it off. So we're going to have to check. That's going to be some messy scoring. So let's wait for the regulators to get this all hammered out. And we'll give you an update. It's 9 points for the Valkyries. And not as messy as I thought. 9 for the Valkyries, 4 for the Coffin Draggers. So a 5-point pass and 2 4-point passes. That tracks.
And that is all of you die on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
And that's going to be NC Jammer for the Valkyries. NC up to the front of the pack and takes off around the outside. NC Jammer, your lead jammer for the Valkyries.
All of you die just has Mimi Mahler to fight against, and she makes it past with some help from Reckless Rose. Draggers are trying to wall up in the front. And NC Jammer is able to pass the black wall and call it off.
NC puts 4 more on the board for the Valkyries. We're going to have Hellatrix Lestrange at the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers. Sure. And Clutch Cannon for the Valkyries.
Clutch Cannon is fighting in the front against Skid Vicious and Raoul Juke, and Strange is able to get out in turn 1. Clutch Cannon is right behind them, though.
Strange now taking big, long strides, trying to say, here comes Clutch Cannon, too, really pumping the arms, trying to catch up. And they're going to get that 1 point at the back of the pack, and that's going to do it.
Yeah, so. Embezzlement and Thigh Voltage doing a nice job keeping a point in the back for Strange.
All right, we're looking at Reckless Rose now for the Coffin Draggers. And we've got NC Jammer for the Valkyries. A little discussion here between the jam refs. And we're going, no, Freya Hugs is doing the hokey pokey. Here we go. We're going to have a timeout of some fashion. We'll find out what flavor here momentarily. That's an official timeout. All right, so it's an OTO. Apparently the discussion that had sprung up is now going to spread to all the regulators. So we'll take a break from the action momentarily. Right now, 12:10 to go until halftime, 65-24, Valkyries in front early.
And while we're waiting, I would love to tell you about the Schoolyard Scrappers Bowling fundraiser coming up. Do you love bowling? Do you love the Arizona Derby Dames? Well, we have just the thing for you. On Saturday, March 25th, the Schoolyard Scrappers are holding a bowling fundraiser. The goal is to make as close to 1 month's rent as possible. There are a ton of spots for team signups and sponsorship opportunities. Ask any scrapper for more information. Also, no pressure, but I have a great team for the Scrapper fundraiser, and we're going to beat everyone. So this is my challenge to come see if you can beat us. I might not be able to walk, but I'll do my best.
So there is now a challenge. The teams had started up onto the track and then turned around and came back. So it's a challenge by the Valkyries. So they're going to, the regulators are already getting together in the back straightaway to talk this over. So we'll let them do that and keep talking about our various sponsors and stuff.
I know, we went straight from an OTO to a challenge, so we'll be here for a little bit.
At any rate, don't forget about our next Derby bout. We've got more Derby action. It is on March 18th, and it's going to feature a doubleheader. It's going to feature teams jockeying for playoff position before the playoffs start in the first couple of weekends of April. Your next bout is the Brutal Beauties against the Runaway Brides, and then the Bombshells against the Schoolyard Scrappers. So tonight is the last game of the season for both of these teams, hence the playoff intensity.
And if you can't make it to our bouts in person, make sure you check out our live stream on Twitch. We stream every game on our Twitch channel. And shout out to all the fans watching on the live stream. Thank you so much for supporting from home. We also have been streaming our scrimmages sometimes and some other fun stuff, so make sure, if you're not already, to follow us on Twitch.
As you watch the Regulators discuss things in the back straightaway, you could also be a member of the Regulators team if you're interested in being part of this whole scene, but hitting people isn't your deal, or you can't wear wheels on your feet, like me. Our Regulators are always looking for dedicated and eager minds to learn our rule set and help keep the skaters on the track safe. The Regulator team is an open gender team, and there's various levels of officiating that go on during a bout, such as both skating and non-skating roles. Come be a part of the action and help our league grow. Ask any skater or regulator how to get involved. Looks like the challenge is wrapped up. Here comes Hoover Slam.
All right, so they were challenging points, but the points are going to stay the way they are. No changes. Just a free timeout, essentially.
Which I've heard from a wise roller derby coach that sometimes you play a little timeout game and a challenge game once in a while because the end of the game, what are you going to do? Donate them to charity?
Well, yeah, if you don't use your challenge in the first half, it does not stay for the second half. You might as well use it.
Exactly. You can't take it and donate it to Goodwill after the game. You have to use it. It expires at the end of the fourth quarter. So we're underway. Back to the action, 65-25 Valkyries in front. NC Jammer for the Valkyries.
And Reckless Rose for the Coffin Draggers. Rose challenging that seam on the high, but gets caught up behind a strong orange wall. Gypsy Danger playing some nice offense, though. A very slow-moving pack so far.
Just kind of grinding their way down through the escape turn down there, and now up. Here comes NC trying to, oh, whoa, there goes. Good block there.
Yeah, Rose is fighting against Garen Yeager in the front. Mimi is trying to recycle, but Rose gets out before she can get up there.
Yeah, the other four draggers basically have turned NC into the goad and are holding her back there, letting their jammer get around like this is a power jam.
Ooh, and it looks like shenanigans have ensued.
So Rose gets dumped by a defender for the Valkyries. And now Rose is the goad at the back of the pack.
Mimi is out because the Valkyries were able to execute a successful panty pass. You do not see them often. And you also do not see Mimi Mahler jam often.
All right, now we are moving forward to the next jam, waiting for the score. Here comes the score. It's 4 is the score. 5, 3. I can't see fingers. Anyway, it's a 3-point jam for the Coffin Draggers, but that's going to lead directly to a power jam for the Valkyries. Out there all by her lonesome, it's Hurricane May.
Immediately taking that panty off her head. And is able to get out anyway.
So there goes May, putting the star back on. Doesn't have to be in the side of your helmet. She is more than welcome to have that star right between her eyes. And heading now, there's the Valkyries trying to hold up a couple of defenders for the Coffin Draggers. May now doesn't have to fight through it on her own. Mimi Mahler swings around the outside and clears the path.
May taking a whip off of Mimi.
Absolutely. That is May, NC Jammer, and Mimi have played together for literal years as minor assaults, and they know each other well.
Just a quick reminder that you get points in roller derby by passing the other person's hips, which is why you sometimes see jammers transition to try to get around people, just trying to get her hips passed to get some points.
So now May is going to come up and, well, I thought May was going to start from the jammer line because that would have been cute as heck, but May calls it off. I believe there's only about 5 seconds left on the jammer clock. So 9 points there for Hurricane May on the power jam, 9 hard-fought points.
And we've got All of You Die on the jammer line
I
for the Draggers.
think Rainbow Crash said that's no, that's what I thought you said. Thank you. I love playing with people in the audience. Autumnus Prime up there for the No, she's not. Autumnus Prime is down for the Valkyries.
So this happens a lot in roller derby. We're just going in back-to-back power jams, right? We had a power jam for the Valkyries, now a power jam for the Draggers.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that obviously jammers are always trying to go 115% in a power jam, and they might incidentally pick up a bad block of some kind.
Olive is just lateraling up and down the track, but takes a hard hit from Scaren Jaeger.
Yeah, that was one where everybody exhaled. Jaeger put 120% of their shoulder into that block. That was fun.
Oh, and Olive jumps over Mimi Mahler. Only has 30 seconds left. So far, the Valkyries have done a good job killing this penalty.
So 25 seconds left on the power jam clock, and now you can see the Valkyries trying to keep the pace of play sped up.
Yeah, they are moving so fast, it is just taking Olive a long time to get back, but she's able to pass one person, so that's got to be at least a few points because there's a ghost point.
Mimi Mahler escorting Olive down to the infield. Shirl's You Die out. Shirl's You Die. Shirley Temple of Doom out
my
there.
Goodness.
Sorry. I don't know. Yeah, that's because I'm working a half night tonight. Only half my brain's
Shirley,
here.
if you were here for the first game, was announcing for the first game.
Shirley You Die. I made it.
Hey, it works.
I made it a pun. Of
it
course
works
I did.
no matter which way you do it. And that is Ricky D. Bones on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
And that is Hurricane May, who is partially on the jammer line.
Yeah, I was like, does she realize that her jammer panty is not on her head very well?
Oh, well, there we go.
Oh,
that
she
was the
did,
plan.
because she was not keeping it up there. And Ricky D. Bones gets out very quickly. Oh, but Remy Ruckus is right behind them. Fun fact, Remy and Bones are like besties.
Remy hasn't stopped to put on their helmet cover yet because Remy is using every bit of
Very
energy.
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so fun fact, if the helmet cover is not on your head, it does not matter that it's in your hand. You cannot score any points. You are what is called an inactive jammer. That's fun, though. Look at those besties go. Just having a good old time.
All right, so it ends up being 4 points for the Coffin Draggers there. Hellatrix Lestrange for the Draggers.
And I think that's Prime. Yes, it is Prime jamming for the Valkyries. Gets stuck behind Skid Vicious and Reckless Rose, and Strange gets out in turn one. They're coming around to score some points.
Solid defensive wall of Coffin Draggers at the back of the pack. Prime now trying to fight through. Here comes
Strange gets out.
Wow.
I think the Valkyries were just so distracted playing offense that they were not paying attention to Strange. That's what you want as a jammer. It just makes your life easier.
And Prime just tries to go right down Main Street and does. Ends up with those blockers out of way, but Prime was just going to bully through the pack. Now swinging to the outside.
Strange
there
gets
goes
that
Strange.
jammer point. Look at them go. Strange, I'm proud of you.
Strange again with those big, long, sweeping strides.
Okay,
really
but they
covers
need to
ground
call it.
for,
Okay.
Indeed. No, I was going to say Strange.
He's going to get off points.
Strange, not terribly tall, but covers a lot of ground as a skater with those great big strides. It's moves quick. Moves quick without moving
jamming
quick.
for the first time in this game, perhaps, is Thigh Voltage. My bestie, personally. I am the head of the Thigh Voltage fan club. Oh, power O for Thigh Voltage.
All right, so now it's going to be a power jam for Thigh Voltage.
Maybe. Hold on.
Maybe? Hold
The
on.
refs
Okay,
are
sorry.
doing some things.
Voltage and power. I take it back.
I'm going to be real. I had no idea what you were doing for about 5 seconds, and then I put it together. It's like, sure.
I took it back.
Whatever you say.
So it ended up being 10 points for the Coffin Draggers in the previous jam, so that was being discussed first. So that may be part of it. Right now your score is 74-47. The Valkyries in front with about 5.5 minutes to go until halftime. That's your game reset, so we'll check on what's going to happen here. As we said, as we put a bookmark in this, it was going to be a power jam for the Draggers.
Hey, while we wait, though, I would love to tell you about Lost Dutchman Tattoo. They are a tattoo shop specializing in various styles from realism to traditional. You can also customize your own tattoo. Walk-ins are accepted, and the shop is located at 4121 North 19th Ave, east side of 19th Ave, north of Indian School Road. I have a tattoo from Lost Dutchman Tattoo. It was a great experience.
I had a tattoo from Lost Dutchman Tattoo. It was a great experience.
Had?
At Lost Dutchman Tattoo.
You had a tattoo?
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, I just thought you meant like you used to have a tattoo. Not anymore. I was like, where did it go? Where did it go? And now we have a challenge. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we have a challenge now, so a little more of an extended timeout. I was just discussing with Sandy that I have an avatar that's older than she is.
How old do you think I am?
Well, you didn't get blue blockers.
How old do you think I am?
25.
That's fair. I'm 26. That is a
All
good
right.
guess.
Okay,
I'll
all right.
accept it.
Solid. Anyway, at any rate, my avatar was from 1994, so.
Anytime I see All of You Die, her number's 96, which is the year I was born. And I go, oh, that's the year I was born. And she's like, that's cool. I was very much not born in 1996. Every once in a while, All of You Die says something to me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're 8 years younger than me.
But see, that honestly, and not to make this like a interesting side, I mean, this is an interesting side discussion.
Everything
but really,
we say is interesting.
Roller derby is kind of a slice of society. It's kind of a microcosm of the society as a whole, because really it does have everybody here. Like I'm a guy that can hardly walk, and I'm here at this sport of not guys who can roll on roller skates, but I can talk, so I'm here to talk. And it really is. You see so many people on these teams. There's moms, there's whole families, literal moms and daughters out there. Obviously, there's many, many people beyond just people with careers. So many different people get involved in roller derby, and it's just so fun to see because everybody gets out there, and it's just you're going to go out there and punch somebody in the teeth. Everybody can bond over that.
Fair and valid.
Challenge continuing there along the back straightaway. Like I said earlier, the food truck, the Soul Good, might be still out there leading up to halftime. We're not sure. They were within danger of selling out, so they may still be out there at halftime, and you're more than welcome to check. Of course, if not, the AZDD snack bar plus the snack cart, both of those coming around, and you can get yourself a little snicky snack before you stop at Whataburger on the way home.
All right, it looks like they're discussing the challenge. It looks like maybe Hoover is going to tell us what happened, perhaps? No? Hoover is saying, Okay, so it was a challenge on points, and the Draggers picked up 15 points, not 10. That makes sense. I thought the Draggers made 3 scoring passes, but it's not my job to know. I'm an announcer, not a ref, so I'm not counting.
Exactly. I don't have to count the score. I just have to talk it. All right, so head referee Lollipop there on the front straightaway, speaking to her daughter, team captain Mimi Mahler, like I was just talking about. It's really funny when they're out there as ref and team captain because it is solely business between the two of them, and it's great.
Very professional. If I had one word to say about Lollipop and Mimi Mahler, very professional.
Yes.
I said that, and the second I said that, Lollipop made a wild face. So I take it back.
Okay, so we're going to get back to the action. It is, in fact, going to be a power jam.
With All of You Die.
With All of You Die for the Coffin Draggers.
Number 96, as established. Ooh, some great played by Reckless Rose, and All of You Die gets out before we even get to the first turn. Valkyries are trying to speed things up, but Draggers are trying to keep a goad. Olive is able to start picking up some points. Ooh, takes a fall. Ooh, they're calling split pack, which means the people in the front have to slow down. The people in the back have to speed up.
Hurricane May with a big block on Reckless Rose. It's 22 seconds to go in the power jam. I see another block there. That was Olive throwing a block into the pivot NC Jammer.
Olive has definitely picked up some points, but she has not been able to get out for another scoring pass.
Yeah, those 3 defenders for the Valkyries have really frustrated Olive at the front of the pack. and just keep escorting her off onto the infield. And
I was just going to say, I heard Ref Boyardee say the word failure a lot, and that is not a good sign. That is a penalty. A failure to reform is when, if the pack is split, you do not make enough of an effort to bring that pack together.
So it ends up being a 5-point power jam for the Coffin Draggers, which would roundly be considered a good defensive effort out of the other team.
And that is Hannibal Lecture?
That's right.
Yes, I don't know what it is, Hanny. I swear I know who you are. It's actually Hannibal Lecture and Hellatrix Lestrange.
Hellatrix Lestrange for the Draggers. Hanny is up to the outside, and Hanny's going to take off.
Yeah, Hanny took a rough fall, but had some great recovery and was back up, coming around for more. But Strange is hot on Hanny's tail. Hanny calls it off.
All right, so a little jammer race action. We'll get back to it with, looks like a full, empty penalty box, full pack. No, yes. Sorry, yes. All of you die for the Coffin Draggers.
Speaking of bombshells, that is Dirty Carry on the jammer line. A lot of bombshells subbing for these teams tonight. Carey playing some great jammer defense on All of You Die. Gets stuck behind Skid Vicious, who is also a bombshell.
Tightly bunch pack, kind of pedestrianly making their way through the turn. Now there's a whole lot of action. Now everybody's running. There goes All of You Die. And there goes Dirty Carry. So both jammers out once again. Olive is going to try to keep the advantage here. Dirty Carry's trying to close some ground.
Unfortunately, some of the Valkyries had taken a spill. And if you are on the ground, you are a very easy point to pick up for the other team. I will be honest, it's something that teams even talk about, is trying to put points on the floor. It's the easiest point to get. Speaking of bombshells, oh, never mind. I thought Skarenjaeger was going to jam.
Yeah, we have a double jammer down situation. I did hear black jammer, but then I heard orange jammer. So both jammers picked up penalties in the last jam, and nobody gets a power jam.
That is Ricky D. Bones on the jammer line for the Draggers. I forgot what the team was called for 2 seconds. And Bones is out. May is still fighting, but takes a whip off NC. Jammer panty in her hand.
Bones now checking over their shoulder and trying to make sure they're going to get back to the pack. Racing by the blockers, now up to the front, the defenders at the front, and Bones has to call it off, losing their balance and tumbling to the infield.
Bones got a little lucky because May had to slow down to put that panty on her head because, again, if the panty is not on your head, you cannot get points.
Also, fans, don't look now, but the Coffin Draggers have been chipping away at this Valkyries lead. Coffin Draggers have scored at least 17 unanswered points. It's 74-63. The Draggers are within 10.
And that is Gypsy Danger on the jammer line for the Draggers.
It'll be Clutch Cannon for the Valkyries.
Gypsy tries to follow Clutch out behind that orange wall. Some great O by Skid Vicious, and Gypsy gets out in turn 2. Clutch is fighting against Skid Vicious, and Aunt Tifa is a strong wall to get past. It looks like Clutch is stopping to play some defense. Gypsy almost gets taken to the infield by Shirley, but she gets on out anyway.
Clutch Cannon still tied up in the middle of the pack. Here comes Gypsy Danger around the outside and finishes a second scoring pass. There's 10 seconds left on the jam clock. Clutch Cannon spun off to the infield one more time. Here comes Gypsy Danger with less than a second left, and it's going to run up into those blockers at the top of the track. We'll check the score, but it should be one moment.
Bestie on bestie violence happening on the jammer line. Olive versus Skarenjaeger.
All right, it winds up being 11 points for the Coffin Draggers, and we got a tie game with 9 seconds till halftime.
Tied game going into the second half. No pressure. No pressure, Jaeger. Oh, and Olive gets out before we even get to the turn, but Jaeger is right behind her.
Olive's going to try to get back here and try to pick up a point. There go the blockers for the Valkyries. Here comes Jaeger trying to make an issue of it.
A beautifully timed call off by all of you die.
Indeed. Let's check the score there and see. Indeed. 2 points for the Coffin Draggers, and the Coffin Draggers are going to take the lead into halftime, 76-74. We're going to take a 10-minute halftime break and get right back to the action. I hope you are not planning to leave now for some reason. My goodness. All right, we are underway here in the second half, ready for the first jam of the second half. It's going to start off with NC Jammer at the jammer line for the Valkyries.
And All of You Die for the Coffin Draggers.
Pack shifting around. We've got one Coffin Dragger in the penalty box.
And NC Jammer gets out in turn 1. All of You Die is still fighting. Has to get past Mimi Mahler, and does it.
So that's going to limit this to one scoring chance for NC Jammer now. Right along the inside, dodges the last blocker, calls it off.
Valkyrie's doing a really nice job keeping the Coffin Draggers separate there so they could not wall up.
So the Valkyries swing back in front, 78-76. It's going to be Hellatrix Lestrange for the Coffin Draggers.
And that is Hurricane May for the Valkyries. May really just keeps taking that panty off her head. Strange is fighting against Clutch Cannon and Shirley in the front. We've got kind of a split pack situation happening.
Hurricane May gets by the rear defensive wall and now by the front defensive wall. So Hurricane May, your lead jammer, puts the star back on. Here comes Hellatrix Lestrange trying to put on the pursuit.
And we've got a strong black wall in the back, but they got broken up by Remy Ruckus. Oof.
And Hurricane May with an emphatic, could not get high enough to get seen calling it off and had to really get up on the side of the track there to get seen by the officials.
Calls it off so intensely she falls to the ground.
But got it done in time. 2 more points for the Valkyries and none for the Coffin Draggers. We've got NC Jammer for the Valkyries.
And that is Bones on the jammer line for the Draggers. NC gets taken to the infield by Antifa. NC is stuck behind a very strong 2 wall. That's Antifa and Skid Vicious.
Now NC up to the high side trying to kind of follow Bones. Bones is going up and down that wall of Valkyries defenders. NC still trying to fight along the inside. And now everybody kind of breaks up a little bit, but everybody comes back together. NC gets kind of sucked back into the pack. Somebody tried to drop a block there, and NC just powered through it. That was Antifa. And NC shook it off and gets through. Lead jammer for the Valkyries.
Bones keeps almost getting out, but is taken to the infield by Mimi Mahler. NC's coming around. She's got 12 seconds to get some points. Gets taken to the rail, and Bones finally makes it out.
And NC gets up again and is not going to call the clock off. Was still going to try to get up there and get by a couple of those skaters. We'll check on the score there of that partial scoring pass, see if it was a partial scoring pass.
You know, a very important derby rule we did not mention earlier is that you cannot stop on the track and you cannot move backwards.
Yeah, that's right. You cannot stop. Yeah, you have to move forward. It can be incrementally and infinitesimally,
yes,
but you do have to keep moving forward. You'll
So-
see blockers tiptoeing along, literally.
I was just thinking about it because we saw something happen to Bones a few times where they got what we call kill boxed, which is someone pinning them in on the side and the front, and at that point there's not a lot you can do because you cannot move backwards to get out from them. We've got Hurricane May jamming for the Valkyries and Reckless Rose, and they're in a jammer race.
Hurricane May closing the gap quickly. Rose trying to stay ahead. May goes in, out. Rose drops. Rose calls it off. Rose called it off going to the track, and Hurricane May declares supreme victory, but it's for moot.
I think that May might be instead thinking that she was lead.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
I'm thinking. Yeah,
Perhaps.
I'm thinking May thought they got, but no, I
But
think
that is up to the
Rose.
refs to
Yeah,
decide.
that's when you're falling. Usually, when you're falling, you want to stop yourself. Rose was like, no, first I need to stop the clock.
Yeah,
then I'll
so
stop myself.
you can call off the jam if you're on the infield as long as you are still lead. Or not on the infield. That's wrong.
Yeah,
I
the
said
ground.
a wrong thing. You
Yeah.
can call. I know the refs are looking at me like, what are you saying? You can call it off if you are fallen on the track. You cannot call it off on the infield. That was what I was going to say next, and then I mixed them up in my brain.
So
Anyway,
back to the action here.
roller
That is
derby.
going to be Dirty Carry out there for the Valkyries at the back of the pack.
And All of You Die is fighting with some offense from Embezzlement. Gets taken to the infield by Mimi Mahler.
So another defensive struggle here. The Valkyries trying to hold strong at the front. And there goes Dirty Carry along the inside, and Carry's going to take over. Mimi Mahler again escorting All of You Die to the infield. You got to go a long way to get around Mimi Mahler at the front of the pack. Oof.
Olive
Look
is just
out.
deciding to get in the wall at this point.
Look out. Mimi Mahler just blocked somebody.
It was
Everybody
high voltage.
felt that.
She
Yeah,
took
I saw
high
she hit
voltage's
Volti,
life
yeah.
away.
And that's going to do it. All of You Die gets through the pack and then is looking around for help. We'll check on the score. No points for the Draggers. All 4 of those points for the Valkyries. So the Valkyries now have put some points on the board since they went for a pretty long dry spell at the end of the second quarter and beginning of the third.
That is Hellatrix Lestrange on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
And Hurricane May is out there for the Coffin Drag, the Doomsday Valkyries, excuse me.
May used to be a dragger.
Yeah,
It makes
yeah.
it confusing. And both the jammers are out. May does not have that panty on her head, though, again.
I can say, as an announcer aside, Hurricane May had a different name on the Draggers than Hurricane May had with the Hot Shots. That was really hard calling bouts.
Everyone just called her May anyway.
Hurricane Advocate.
Devil's Advocate.
Devil Cane.
A spooky name.
I think I said Devil Cane once or twice. At any rate, no
That
points
is
for either side.
Bones on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
And that's NC on the jammer line for the Valkyries. Bones up to the front of the pack quickly. I see Mimi Mahler up there again playing defense. Stop me if you've heard that before.
And Embezzlement is playing some, I feel like, okay, Mimi Mahler was out of play.
Yep.
Bones gets out.
Yeah,
NC Jammer gets not taken to the infield.
Yep.
Coming around
yeah, I
half
was
a
gonna
track
about
behind.
the only thing that can stop Mimi from blocking is the 20-foot line.
Ooh,
Here
and we
we
have
go.
a tumble, and that's at least a point. Bones is getting yelled at, and they call it. I will say people generally think that if you are on the close bench, that is the bench closer to the jammer line, that you're at a slight advantage. And the Draggers have been doing a great defensive job so far this half.
All right, we get back to it. The Valkyries are now running a very tight rotation of jammers. That's Hurricane May once again for about the 5th time already in the third quarter.
And that is Hellatrix Lestrange for the
Yep.
Draggers.
Strange also jamming a lot for the Draggers, so both teams trying to put their best foot forward. May stays upright. May got her skate taken out.
But Strange
There we
gets
go
out.
again.
Very close behind.
You once again are going to have a jammer race back to the pack. May is trying to, I just saw somebody clear out. That's Reckless Rose just cleared somebody with a push. May slides in backwards behind Rose and calls it off.
Again, May trying to get her hips behind because then she gets those points.
2 more points for the Valkyries. Valkyries are continuing to rebuild that lead. Hannibal Lecture, wait, I hear timeout. Wait.
Maybe not. Not that it's not Hanny. Hanny, I know it's you this time. It's just they're calling a timeout.
There we go.
It is actually Hannibal Lecture, but just not jamming right now.
Freya Hugs, the best game executioner we have to offer, and I am totally
You
not
are
biased.
so biased.
Not biased at all. Anyway, Freya Hugs is good at yelling. That is a timeout for the Coffin Draggers, so the Draggers are going to try to staunch the bleeding a little bit here. Draggers roared back, but the Valkyries, through about 6 jams in a row at getting 2 at a pop, have really enforced their will on the Draggers here in the last 6 to 7 minutes of game time.
Ooh, and just a heads up, we've got about 7 minutes left in the third quarter, and normally our merch booth and our snack bar start closing down around then. So if you want a snack or you want merch, now is the time. Don't
Yep.
miss out on your opportunity.
Also, if you are still holding one of those souvenir cups for the night, make sure to get that filled before the end of the third quarter as well. That bubbly fountain is going to shut off at just around the same time.
That is All of You Die again. Sorry, I love you. I love you. I'm sorry. And that is Hannibal Lecture. Actually, Hannibal Lecture, actually on the jammer line, here to jam.
All right,
Ooh,
underway
Hanny,
we go.
runs to the high, but gets caught behind her own wall and then behind Strange. Strange playing some great one-on-one defense, and Olive gets out before Hanny.
So all of you die is out. Hannibal Lecture, one of the best jammers on the Bombshells, helping out the Valkyries here, is going to put the pressure on.
And Antifa is keeping a point in the back. Olive gets that point and calls it off. A well-timed offensive move from the Coffin Draggers.
You can definitely say that if there's a whole lot of jammer races, there may not be a whole lot of points being scored, but boy, it's fun.
You know what? At this point, the game is so close. Well, every point matters.
Oh, yeah,
that
absolutely.
1 point,
yeah,
it matters
no,
a whole lot.
I was going to say the Valkyries have scored like 13 straight points now, and it feels like they're dominating all of a sudden, but they're up by 11. At any rate, here we go with this jam. Hurricane May once again against Reckless Rose. May takes off the helmet cover. The bench yelled it out, so it's okay for us to talk about it. And there goes May. May more aerodynamic without the helmet cover. And here comes Reckless Rose.
Yeah,
so
Rose
we've got
powering through that orange wall.
Absolutely. Rose just bulling her way through that front of the pack. Here comes May, is going to try to get those 2 or 3 points. Weaving and calls it off. Skating backwards, watching Rose the whole time and calling it off at just the right moment.
And on the jammer line again for the Coffin Draggers is Bones.
We've got NC out there again for the Valkyries. 2 more points for the Valkyries. Valkyries at present on a 15-1 run since the 3rd quarter started. Excuse me, 16-1. I can count.
I cannot, so. Ooh, Skid Vicious taking NC Jammer to the infield.
Bones trying to fight through some clutter at the front of the pack, but gets bumped off to the infield. Now racing. Oh, no. Yeah, almost. Oh, takes a big block from Skid, but they're out of play. There goes NC Jammer. NC took a block from Skid right in the clavicle and then was able to get through it once the other blocker out of play. NC is your lead jammer.
Bones has got their eye on that other jammer, tries to follow NC out. And tiptoes on the coping, but gets taken off the track, has to reset. Oop, and now NC is on the infield, so she unfortunately, I just don't think she's.
All right, that'll be a stoppage in play. And there goes NC Jammer back to the Valkyries bench under her own power. Medical crew is going to continue chatting with her over there on the bench. So it wound up being a 4-point jam for the Valkyries when it was all said and done.
Ooh, but it looks like NC also got a penalty, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I believe that would be improper procedure for trying to call it off.
Illegal procedure.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, the problem is that if you get an injury and the jam has to stop, you have to sit for 5 jams, not as a penalty, just you can't skate. But NC wanted it to stop so that no one else could pick up points. So it's a bit of an unfortunate situation. Also, don't look now, but the 50-50 raffles apparently at $325.
Wow.
Guys, That's the most I've seen in a while. And again, if you're here, you might as well buy a ticket. I would buy a ticket if I had cash, but I don't. So
right.
Hellatrix Lestrange is doing that power jam for the Draggers.
Right, since that, again, did end up being a penalty on NC at the end of that jam. I was going to say, illegal procedure is the only hand signal I know. That and cut track. They're both very demonstrative.
I also, the failure to reform one, but mostly just because I see it a lot, because I get that penalty a lot.
Meanwhile, the Valkyries defense up to the task so far. Who we got out there? I see Remy Ruckus. That's Shirley Temple of Doom, Hurricane May. Hellatrix Lestrange finally gets the blockers out of play. Yeah, we've got Remy and then Mimi at the back of the pack now. So those two at the back of the pack. You can see those skaters at the front just creeping into place and trying to kind of be an obstacle. Now the pack comes together and reactivates those blockers.
Ooh, a big
tumble.
hit from
Wow.
Skid Vicious on Mimi Mahler, but they're both okay.
So now Strange trying to finish that scoring pass, and that's going to do it for the jam. So a great defensive effort on the power jam by the Doomsday Valkyries. Checking on the score from the infield, see if Strange got that whole scoring pass. Strange got 3.
Ooh, all right, brings them a little closer. Sorry I disappeared there. I was texting my boyfriend to ask him to buy me a raffle ticket. Perhaps. Maybe. I'll pay you back. That 50-50 raffle is looking real good. I'm trying to get in on the action.
Coach Infidel Castro working that clock like a potter with clay. All right, so that is, in fact, a team timeout after much waiting by the Valkyries. Again, that Coach Infidel Castro of the Valkyries is a clock romancer. It's pretty great to watch him. So we had a team timeout. Regulators in the penalty area. Ended up being a 3-point power jam for the Coffin Draggers, so that kind of broke the ice on them a little bit. So 96-82 with 2:45 to go in this quarter. Valkyries ahead by 14 right now.
Well, while we have this timeout, I would love to tell you about Copper Star Coffee. They are a locally owned coffee shop and cafe providing hand-blended drinks and award-winning baked goods. Visit them on the southwest corner of 7th Ave in Heatherbray, just north of Indian School Road, for delicious coffee, tea, muffins, and their incredible homemade bagels every day.
Those bagels are the real deal, though. The timeout's just about to end here, but I will say, for real, those bagels are amazing. You know how sometimes you get bagels and they're just kind of like a bun that has a hole in it? No, Bill makes his own bagels at Copper Star, and they are fantastic.
And that is Dirty Carry on the jammer line for the Valkyries.
We're going to have all of you die for the Coffin Draggers here as we get back to the action.
Olive trying to follow Carrie out behind. Oh, and Carrie gets out right behind Olive. We got a jammer race. Olive is not willing to call it off. Unfortunately. Oh, there we go. Now Draggers have a point in the back.
All right, let's check on the score there, see if Olive got a point, see if Olive gave up a point. What do we got?
Yeah, let's see if she timed that call off well.
Oh, wow. Olive got 3 points and none for the Valkyries.
Oh, my goodness. All of you die is so talented. Maybe.
Well, hang on a second. Yeah, it is. It's 3 points for all of you die. Excellent managing of the call off there at the end. All right, it's going to be Hellatrix Lestrange hiking up the track for the Coffin Draggers.
And that is Hannibal Lecture on the jammer line for the Valkyries. And there is a huge pileup. Oh, but it distracted some people. Both jammers were able to get out.
And Hanny calls it off. Both jammers breaking out at the same time. So the
Olive
clock
is
continues
back
to
already.
Chug on with almost no points for either side. We entered this quarter at 78-76, so it's been a low-scoring quarter. We're going to have all of you die for the Coffin Draggers.
And Hurricane May for the Valkyries.
Both jammers hit each other and fall down at the back of the pack. Both back up, trying to find an opening.
And there goes All of You Die. May is still stuck and gets out. Inactive jammer, no panty on the head.
So now closing in, here comes Olive Udai. Valkyries get together at the front of the pack. Olive's trying to fight her way through, but takes a tumble and calls it off, sliding off the track.
Again, if you fall, you can call it off, as long as you did not hit the infield before you try to call it off.
So 2 points for the Coffin Draggers. Should be the last jam of the third quarter here, and give both times a second to reorient themselves. That's NC Jammer for the Valkyries.
And Helatrix Lestrange on the jammer line. Strange just goes through their own wall, but NC takes a whip off a teammate and gets lead. Strange is stuck behind a strong orange wall.
Yeah, NC out, and for the first time in a long time, NC is the only jammer out and clear. And now NC up to the rail. I see Psycho Sis up there trying to keep the door closed. NC fighting through. It gets some help from Audimus Prime at the front of the pack and gets out.
Helatrix Lestrange almost gets out, but I think is stopping to play some defense. With only 20 seconds left, there's not a lot else Strange can do.
NC bounces down to the inside, gets routed off to the infield by Skid Vicious. There's 12 seconds left on the power jam. Excuse me, not the power jam, the jam clock. And NC gets through, finishes that scoring pass, and that'll do it. So 2 whole scoring passes for NC Jammer and the Valkyries to close out the third quarter. We'll double check. There it is, 10 whole points for the Valkyries. And the Valkyries close off the third quarter with a flourish. 106-87 Valkyries in front right now.
A very close game. All right, everyone, get out your orange. You'll never guess. All of You Die is jamming for the Coffin Draggers.
It's
Who would have known?
And back on the jammer line for the Valkyries, NC Jammer. So NC served that 5 jam penalty that you spoke of and is now back out there for the Valkyries.
Well, I don't think she had to sit it because she
the
then
quarter
got
break.
a penalty.
Okay.
See, yes.
Thank you. Well, at either rate.
She also jammed like 3 jams ago.
Yeah.
She came back strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, kind of disorganized pack all trying to. There goes NC. Never fails. You start talking about the disorganized pack and somebody blows to the front. There goes NC Jammer. All of You Die trying to fight past Mimi Mahler. Olive slides way through the turn, and now Mimi, going as slow as possible, makes Olive have to get up behind her. That's a rules tip for you. If you get knocked off the track, you got to reestablish behind the person who blocked you off.
Yeah, unless you get, if you don't, you get a cut track penalty.
Yeah, exactly. But if the person blocking you also slides off the track, then you can go on by, and that's going to do it for the jam. NC calls it at the back.
Olive had pushed those jammers out of play. If you're more than 20 feet away from the pack, you just got to let that jammer go.
Yep. Yeah, you'll see sometimes the blocker will get stranded out there and can't come back to the pack, and basically all they can do is play a traffic cone.
It's one of the only times you can stop, is if you're out of play.
All right, so 2 more points for the Valkyries. We have burned almost 90 seconds off the clock at this point, so the Valkyries are trying to play hard defense and maintain that lead. It's going to be Hurricane May for the Valkyries here.
And that is Bones on the jammer line for the Draggers. Bones is fighting against their bestie, Remy Ruckus and Shirley Temple of Doom.
So the 2 halves of the pack now are starting to come together. Hurricane May is trying to fight that defensive wall forward. May still has the jammer star off, but is still at the moment the jammer of record.
And May gets out in active jammer, but lead puts the jammer panty on so she can score some points. Draggers trying to keep their points in the front, and May calls it off. Jamming for the first time for the Valkyrie. No, second time. Because it was you and Olive last time. That's Garen Yeager.
And there's the other half of the Olive and Yeager show. Tune in on 94.2, the adult alternative, KPSK, for Olive and Yeager in the morning.
That's a lot of penalties.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of penalties. It's a small pack. We only have 2 blockers for the Coffin Draggers and 1 for the 3 for the Valkyries. My goodness, I can't even talk. Yeager's already out. I'll say it like Bill does. Scaring Yeager. Don't tell Bill I did that. That's a terrible impression. Never tell Bill I did that. Scaring Yeager now fighting through the pack.
Yeager is fighting against Skid Vicious. They are usually teammates. Today they are enemies.
Yeager finishes off that scoring pass. Olive still trying to fight through, again with the defense at the front of the pack. Mimi and NC, they bump Olive off to the infield. Olive now tries to help play a little bit of jammer defense. Yeager goes right down Main Street and just shoulders their way through the pack there. What a move. 12 seconds left on the jam clock, and this has turned into a de facto power jam for the Valkyries here with All of You Die trying to help their blockers. 4 seconds left. Yeager trying to get those last points and is going to call it off. All right, we'll check on the score from the infield there, but that should have been plenty productive for the Valkyries.
That is Thigh Voltage on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
And it's going to be Dirty Carry for the Valkyries.
2 bombshells fighting against each other.
That was 13 big points on the board for Scarin Yeager and the Valkyries. So Dirty Carry down to the inside. Dirty Carry out and clear again. Here goes Volty trying to race to the outside, and Volty beats that blocker to the point. So Volty's going to try to keep this at 1 scoring attempt for Dirty Carry. Dirty Carry catching up. Crashes into the pack, and that's going. Here comes Volt.
Ooh, Volt's with a clean dismount. Oh, my goodness.
Volt had so much momentum that Volty hit the ground and skidded for about 30 yards on their knee pads.
I'm just glad she didn't run into the bench.
She was pumping to get in there, man. All right. back to the action we go. No points for either side, and it's going to be all of you die for the Coffin Draggers.
And Shirley, Temple of Doom.
This is
for
Sheryl's first jam for the Valkyries this evening, and Sheryl's gets unceremoniously escorted off the track.
And Olive, I thought Olive got out, but maybe she came off the track and had to reset, so she did not get a cut track penalty.
Indeed, looks like it. Let's see. So now both jammers are both kind of up in there. Olive got bumped down. I see Sheryl's at the back of the pack with the star off, so Sheryl's is still the jammer of record for the moment for the Valkyries. Valkyries still haven't let all of you die out at the front of the pack.
So remember, if Shirley is truly trying to pass that penny, the only person she can pass it to is the pivot, who is Mimi Mahler, who is very far away from Shirley for now. But now Shirley is out.
There goes
an
Shirley
active
out
jammer.
of the pack. So Sheryl's will try to keep this to one scoring attempt for all of you die, but more importantly for the Valkyries, they burned an entire minute off the game clock. So yeah, the Valkyries really more focused there on hampering and trying to bleed as much time as possible and turn the clock into their friend with 9:11 to go in regulation.
All of you die was able to pick up 2 points.
We're going to have Hurricane May for the Valkyries.
And that is Hellatrix Lestrange for the Coffin Draggers. A lot of shuffling happening in the blocker box.
Both jammers able to get to the pack quickly. May found a big opening along the outside, and Hurricane May lead jammer for the Valkyries. Coffin Draggers are working with the blocker down again. The Valkyries have had a lot of full packs out there and are skating relatively penalty low. There goes Strange now out of the pack to try to keep this at 1 pass for May. May weaves through and calls it off. Yeah, I think that's more than just my perception. I really think the Valkyries have been skating really, really clean, especially here in the fourth quarter.
I will say, I think Tifa was a must skate there. So you have to have 2 blockers on the track, and I heard Tifa get called for a penalty. So if more than 2 blockers get a penalty, one of them has to go up and skate again, and then sit their penalty the next time. So.
Another important thing about roller derby is that in bank track full bout, you get 7 fouls, and then you're ejected. You foul out. So as teams start losing skaters, it can become a battle of attrition, and I see at least 1 helmet off already on the Draggers bench. Around the outside and lead jammer for the Valkyries, quickly to the front of the pack is NC Jammer.
All of you die is fighting to get out, but comes off the track. And NC Jammer makes a scoring pass, is coming around for more. She's got 30 seconds left.
Now here comes NC on a scoring pass around the outside and gets through with relatively little trouble. All of you die gets bumped into the rail again, scaring Jaeger, and I see Autumnus Prime in there also playing good defense. 7 seconds left on the jam clock. NC is going to get all 5 of those last points for sure. Bumps into somebody and lets the clock expire. We'll check the score from the infield on that one, but it's going to be another productive offensive output for the Valkyries. Indeed, it's 15 big points for the Doomsday Valkyries.
And we've got Ricky D. Bones on the jammer line for the Draggers.
It's going to be Hurricane May for the Doomsday Valkyries this time. Looks like a full pack out there. Nobody in the penalty box. Hurricane May is focusing more on defense and is trying to keep Ricky D. Bones from getting out. May takes off the hat and is now pinned in at the very, very back of the pack and can't get up to their pivot.
I was going to say a strong black wall from the Draggers. Bones is trying to push them out of play, get some help from Embezzlement.
Now the 2 halves of the pack come together, but Bones still able to shake loose and get out the front of the pack for the Coffin Draggers.
Bones has 25 seconds left to try to get some points.
Hurricane May now at the back of the pack, waiting and throws a great block. Wow, Hurricane May with a very effective block at the back of the pack and just completely sapped all of Bones' energy. May now to the front of the pack and is going to get out to ensure this is going to be just 1 scoring pass for Bones, and Bones calls it off.
All right, that is Gypsy Danger back on the jammer line for the Draggers.
Jammer for the Doomsday Valkyries is Shirley Temple of Doom. There's a big hug between Shirls and Gypsy on the jammer line. This is Sarah Nader, a very late addition to the blocker box, but again, a full complement of blockers for the Valkyries. And quickly to the front of the pack, there goes Shirls. Going to get those blockers pushed out of play. Shirley Temple of Doom is your lead jammer for the Valkyries.
Shirley is just so strong. She pushes so hard.
Shirley likes basketball. That's what I hear.
Oh.
So many basketballs.
Oh, yes. She's always telling me about her basketball game.
Shirl's now up on trying to do a scoring pass, gets bumped to the infield, and then some skaters fall in front of her. 24 seconds left on the jam clock. Shirls is now just brute forcing along the rail and kind of slides a blocker out of the way and finishes the scoring pass. So Shirley Temple of Doom puts points on the board. One of the Valkyries' defensive specialists getting a chance to jam. Here comes Gypsy Danger for the Draggers, and it would appear that the Valkyries are in no great hurry to let any time stay on the clock. There goes Shirley Temple with a really slow scoring pass. And there we go. The jam comes to a close.
Yeah, the time had run out.
Yes, it
had.
But
the whistle had not blown for a second. But all the skaters realized and were just chilling. And we've got a battle of bombshells jammers again. That is Thigh Voltage on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
It'll be Dirty Carry for the Valkyries. Shirley Temple of Doom puts 9 points up on the board for the Valkyries there. We're going to have a timeout. It would probably be an official timeout.
We'll see.
I'm
Who
guessing.
knows?
Yeah,
yes.
It's an official timeout. Probably something to do with what transpired at the end of that jam. So they'll get that all talked over, and we'll figure that out. All right, so we'll step aside from the action. 3:39 to go in regulation. Valkyries have taken control here in the second half and really moved ahead here in the fourth quarter, 149-92. I see coaches coming together, so...
Not a challenge, I
Not
do
a challenge,
think.
no. I see clearly you can see Bender's got the challenge flag hanging out of his shorts. And Castro would have thrown his by now. So, no, just a discussion, I'm sure. All right, so let's take a second and kind of reset what we've got going on here. Once again, this is for a playoff spot, I believe Sandy said.
Yes. Because they've both won one game so far.
Yep.
So whoever wins another game will go to playoffs.
Yep, they'll qualify as the fourth seed in the playoffs, I would believe. So the, excuse me, so the other teams competing are going to be all skating at our next bout, which is March 18th. And it's going to be the Brutal Beauties versus the Brides, and then the Bombshells versus the Schoolyard Scrappers, and that'll lock in the other 3 playoff spots. With the winner of this bout, this is the last bout for both of these teams in the season. The winner of this bout will be 2-3 on the season, and that'll qualify them for the playoffs. And hey, if you go to the dance, you can win prom royalty. So you never know once you make the playoffs. Looks like I talked just long enough, and we might almost be ready to get back to the action. Maybe not. We'll see. We'd like to, once again, thank our wonderful people that are producing the live stream and who are watching the live stream from home. Visit our Twitch channel or Facebook page to learn more. We'd love to shout out all the fans watching from home.
All right, we're getting back to the action. It is still Thigh Voltage on the jammer line. And Dirty Carry.
So, again, 4 blockers out there for the Valkyries. Coffin Draggers have 1 blocker in the penalty box. Remy Ruckus spins around. And Remy Ruckus is blocking Hellatrix Lestrange. Hence the, that's very good. There goes Dirty Carry out to the front of the pack. Dirty Carry is your lead jammer for the Valkyries. Volty trying to kind of use traction along the rail and just fight through.
Trying to follow Embezzlement out on the low, but gets caught up behind Remy Ruckus. Dirty Carry gets caught up behind Embezzlement and Hellatrix Lestrange. And Carry gets out for a scoring pass.
Hurricane May was lying in wait for Thigh Voltage. Knocked Volty off the track. Dirty Carry now coming around for a scoring pass again.
And it looks like Thigh Voltage is going to just play some defense. Carry gets taken to the infield. And there's about 9 seconds left on the clock.
Volty turned to go, and Hurricane May has made this a personal mission to not let Volty out of the pack. And that'll do it for the jam clock. Jam clock expires. We'll check on the score for the infield. Valkyries are going to put 8 more points on the board for the Valkyries. They're over 150 for the bout.
And we have All of You Die back on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers.
NC Jammer is up there for the Doomsday Valkyries.
NC gets out on the low, untouched. Some great offense from her team. It's coming around to score some points. All of You Die is fighting against Garen Yeager, but makes it out past them.
So now here comes NC on NC's first scoring pass. Weaves right through, had a blocker trying to get in the way. It looked like Hellitrix Lestrange, and NC finishes off the scoring pass.
Skid Vicious took a rough fall to the infield and gets up cackling.
We are going to have another timeout here. All right, Coffin Draggers are going to use their final timeout of the game. So Coffin Draggers going to talk this one over. Right now, 1:35 to go in regulation. The Doomsday Valkyries are in front, 161 to 92. Fans, don't forget, after the last whistle, we'll give away that final raffle prize as well as the cash raffle. So make sure if you are still, you do have to be present to win, so don't take off. And we're going to draw those tickets quickly. So once again, at the end, make some noise if you're one of the lucky winners at the end of the bout. We don't want to redraw your ticket if you're still here.
I do not know what the cash prize is at this point, but I have the feeling that maybe someone who works raffle is going to text me about it, perhaps. I got a thumbs up from Stevie. That means yes. I'm just waiting. Waiting with bated breath. 425?
Well,
I'm actually genuinely shocked by that. That's amazing.
Well,
that's the highest I have seen it, and I really, you know what? I bought raffle tickets.
That's over 200 to the winner. That's excellent.
It might not be too late.
All right, back to the game we go. 1:35 to go in regulation. Hurricane May to the jammer line for the Valkyries.
Can someone come ref for just a second so the rest can take a break and buy raffle tickets? All right, that's Ricky D. Bones on the jammer line. For the Draggers, by the way. Got distracted by raffles.
Everybody kind of accordioned off the track there.
And Bones is fighting in the front, has to get by Clutch Cannon, and does so. But May is out very close behind, but with no jammer panty on the head. That's May's look of the night. Bones calls it off. Since Bones' team was in the back, the Draggers would have gotten past before Bones got up to the Valkyries.
All right, less than a minute to go in regulation. I see a bunch of people shifting places here for the pack. Let's take a look. Right now, we've got NC Jammer for the Valkyries and All of You Die for the Coffin Draggers. All right, now everybody's set.
And Olive tries to sneak out past her own wall. NC tries to follow, but gets stopped by Gypsy Danger. Thigh Voltage is trying to help play some offense in the front, but Olive gets taken to the infield by Mimi Mahler. They are out of play in the front, so Olive gets to keep going. Oh, but don't look now. There's been a panty pass. Mimi Mahler is now the jammer.
So Mimi takes over. There's 7 seconds left on the game clock, so Olive's going to try to get up here and get some points scored. Olive up to the rail.
Olive is calling it off. Let's see if Mimi was able to sneak a point or two.
Oh, we did have a second left on the clock at call-off, so we've got one more jam before the regulation clock expires. Coffin Draggers putting 4 on the board, so 161.96 at the moment. Yep. quarter clock has expired. One more regulation jam, and then we'll see about penalty jams thereafter. It's going to be Shirley Temple of Doom.
And Hellatrix Lestrange for the Coffin Draggers. I hear Mimi telling Shirley to get out and call it. Which she did.
There you go.
Good job following instructions, Shirley.
Doomsday Valkyries calling it off and trying to prevent any hope of a penalty jam. So let's check on the official call from the infield before we make this official call for the game.
If the team in the lead gets a penalty and the team who is not in the lead doesn't, that's a penalty jam.
So we're going to check on this now with head referee Lollipop stepping back to the edge of the track. And with this whistle.
And that is a win for the Doomsday Valkyries, meaning they are going to the playoffs.
Derby fans, witness them. Once again, the Doomsday Valkyries are victorious. Don't you hear that distant thunder from somewhere beyond the clouds? Valhalla calls, and the Valkyries are in the playoffs.
And let's also make some noise for our Coffin Draggers.